Hello everyone, it's Imaginary Doodles, and in today's video I'm going to be doing the 5-hour comic challenge. And pretty much in this challenge what you do is you try to make a comic, you try to make a short mini comic within 5 hours. I've only attempted at making a comic twice, and those 2 times I did attempt at making them, I never finished them. I think I do have 2 ideas in mind. I'm going to have a timer right here so that way in case I need to do something real quick, I can just pause it at any time. Also, there's one more thing I want to say. I'm probably going to be also checking up and showing you guys my progress and talking about some things as I get to it. So it'll sort of be a sort of vloggy type video. I will have voiceover and I will talk over pretty much the whole video. Without further ado, let's just get started with the challenge. I'm just sketching out my first ideas that I came up with when starting this challenge. I'm going to sort of go sidetrack of what I'm drawing right now, even though I only have 2 minutes to talk. Before I started this challenge, I did have a few ideas because I didn't want to start this challenge with no idea at all. So I did think of some ideas. I didn't draw anything down. I just was sort of thinking of something. Earlier on that day, I was drawing this little popsicle because I wanted to do a lineless watercolor style. So I thought of maybe I might draw this guy character and he finds this magical popsicle. And he's hoping that with the popsicle that he finds, he's hoping that he'll become this magical, powerful superhero. But instead, when he eats it, he actually turns into this stereotypical anime magic girl, and he's really disappointed. And in this idea, I also did have his familiar. That was my first idea. Obviously, I didn't even go with the idea. To be honest, I didn't even try to sketch out the idea. I'm glad I didn't go with the idea because I feel like I wouldn't be able to execute that as well as the one that I end up doing by the end. In these little sketches, I was trying to, one of my ideas I had was the familiar that he meets for the first time. She was going to save him in some way, but I didn't end up doing that by the end. On this first page, that was my first ideas I had. Okay, so here is my first page of ideas, and right now I'm just going to talk about a little bit of my process. I'm not sure how much I said in the voiceover. So what I've done so far is I created this guy character because I do draw a lot of girls, so I decided to draw a male this time. So here is sort of my idea of how he's gonna look like. I'm not sure if in the final he's gonna look like this, but this is just what I have so far. And also, I'm planning on this creature is going to be his little, I don't know if you would call it familiar. They'll work together. This short comic will be about him meeting her for the first time. I'm trying to figure out how they will meet. In this little comic strip, I was planning he was running through the forest, and I guess because since it was cold he was trying to find shelter. Then he trips over this little stump thing and he falls, and right when he was about to give up, this little this creature thing, because I'm not sure what her name is, finds him and pretty much she takes him to safety. So yeah, that's for my first idea. And in the second idea, she's trying to fight this slime monster, stands no chance against the slime monster, and so the slime monster grabs him and he's about to eat him. And just when he's about to get eaten, the little creature thing comes down and comes to his rescue. But she has this magical scent, and pretty much it just demolishes the slime monster and just makes him melt away. And I'm not really sure if this thing comes first or this. I think in this comic you read it this and then this. So yeah, so pretty much she comes, his and the main character's eyes opens and then the slime melts away. So this is just what I've made so far. I think this only took me about, and oh my goodness, I have so many fingerprints on my iPad screen, 25 minutes. I might be going with it. I'm gonna try to sketch out some more ideas before I settle with this, but yeah, this is what I've come up with in 25 minutes, and I'm surprised that I've done this much within 25 minutes. I thought it would have taken me a lot longer just to come up with this. So now I'm just sketching out my second page of ideas for this. I think I talk about this later on in the video, but I thought this page was going to be the last page of sketches I was going to do because I was sort of running low on time, and little did I know then that by the time I'd be finished with this comic, I had over a half an hour to spare. On this page, I was trying a new idea. I thought I was going to go with the comic strip on this page, but I didn't feel like I could pull it off. Pretty much all the panels, I feel like they would be too hard to pull off, especially the last one because that pose, I felt like that pose would have been too hard to draw, unless the only way I'd probably be able to draw that decently is if I drew it multiple times, which I didn't have enough time for. In a way, I sort of did have enough time for it because I had 42 minutes left. But then again, who knows? If I did do it this way could have taken, to be honest, this way could have taken longer to color, or I don't know. Who knows? Also, after I was done drawing the little comic strip thingy, I decided to redesign the male character because I didn't really like how his hairstyle looked. The drawings on this page are the closest to the ones in the final. As of now, I'm just going to call it a familiar because I don't really know what type of creature this is. I don't really have any names in mind. But by the end of it, I did make her more wood-like than, because in these drawings, the little familiar character was actually alive, and it wasn't human, but it was more of an animal. By the end, the character is more of a wood type of character. To be honest, it might be, who knows, it might be a wooden carving that some guy made and then he put magic into it, and that's how it's able to move and do creature-like thing. So I've sketched out a whole nother page of ideas, and pretty much on this page, I was doing my third attempt at this comic, and looking back at this, let me try to look at the other side. Which one will I go with? I think I may go with this one. I'm not sure, because I sort of want to discover a new idea, but I'm already at 4 hours. I do need to have time for the sketching, line art, and watercoloring, and I think maybe the sketching and the line art will probably take about an hour, and the watercoloring may take about 2 hours. I'm not really sure, but I'm a little afraid to draw some more because I feel like if I do brainstorm even more, I won't have enough time for the watercolor. I know that the watercoloring part will take the most amount of time in this challenge, so I don't know. I don't want to run out of time. I don't know. So I was also redesigning the characters and trying to figure out what their final design is going to be. And I think this is what this girl's design is going to be. This is her final design. And here's the boy's final design. At the beginning, he was sort of a hero-ish type of character, but now I'm going to make him more of a I don't know, maybe a thief, maybe? I'm not sure. He's probably going to be more of a traveler or something like that. Unlike the other guy who looked like he could sort of be some type of prince or a hero. But the thing is, I don't know if I can pull this off. So should I go with something else? But I don't know if I can. I don't think this will turn out well. And I'm not sure if this one will turn out well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I sketch some more or if I just move on to the watercolor sheet, which this is going to be the one I'm going to use, which I just realized it's pretty much the same size as my sketchbook, so I thought it was a little bit bigger, but I guess I was wrong. But yeah, I don't know, I might do a little bit more sketching. I just don't know. The watercolor paper I'm using is the Canson XL Mixed Media watercolor paper, and my thoughts on the watercolor paper, I wouldn't say I love it. I don't dislike it in any way, but I feel like I like the Canson Mixed Media sketchbooks more than the watercolor paper, and that's just because I don't know, maybe because I can use more mediums on them. Not like I can't use like markers and colored pencils on this watercolor paper. I probably don't like the watercolor paper as much as the sketchbooks because I guess I just like sketchbooks more than just loose sheets of paper. And also, I feel like, and maybe this is just because the paper's thick and it's supposed to be thick because it's watercolor paper, but whenever the paper warps and wrinkles, I don't really like how this paper wrinkles, unlike the sketchbook. It's kind of weird. I prefer my pages to be wrinkled in my sketchbook. I really like it when my pages in my sketchbook are wrinkled, but whenever it comes to watercolor paper, I kind of don't like it when it wrinkles. I could have prevented this by taping the sides down, but at the same time I didn't want to tape down the sides because I was sort of painting pretty close to the ends of the paper, so I couldn't really tape the sides. I could have made, with the leftover watercolor sheets that I have, I could have made a watercolor block. When I got the Canson XL Mixed Media watercolor pad, I thought the pages were too large and I decided to cut them in half, which I sort of wish I didn't do that because now I sort of want to do a challenge where I do a drawing on a 9x12 sheet of paper, but I can't really do that now because I cut the pages in half. I'm probably not going to buy a new one until I finish the sheets that I have. I'm going to talk about my thoughts and how I feel about this drawing at the end of the video. But I will say right now that I was struggling a little bit on making this piece. And I didn't struggle too much on the line art and the sketching. I struggled the most on getting the colors, and that's just because A, I was rushing because I only had a certain amount of time to do it, and B, since I was rushing, I wasn't really making too much of a contrast. So in the middle of painting this, which you guys can't see because I didn't end up recording that, in the middle of painting, I was sort of getting mad because everything pretty much looked like the same tone, and now some things don't to be honest, everything doesn't contrast as much as I would have wanted it to, but it does have more contrast than it did in the beginning. This is being recorded hours after I've already finished the challenge. I'm recording this now instead of earlier because when I finished the challenge, it was 5 a.m. It was late. I honestly stayed up pretty much the whole night doing this challenge because someone didn't record as early as I could have, because I could have ended way earlier, but I sort of procrastinated like usual and I had to end up staying up at night. So that was my own fault, and hopefully this teaches me a lesson. Probably doesn't, but hopefully it does. I just wanted to show you guys pretty much the whole process from start to finish. So even though I sort of showed it to you guys throughout this whole video, but this is the first page of ideas or of brainstorming. Here is the second page. Here's the second page. Here I was just sort of getting their designs almost down. Here is some more brainstorming. This is the last page of brainstorming, and I thought I would end up going up with this idea, but I pretty much went with this idea, but not 100%. I sort of cut out these two scenes and these three scenes. This scene pretty much looks the same, just I add a little bit more detail, and these two scenes over here sort of changed a little bit. That's all of my brainstorming, I guess, and all of my doodles of ideas. And over here is the final drawing. So here is the final comic. I feel like this turned out pretty good because this is like my first comic that I've ever made and actually like finished. So yeah, I think this turned out decent. It could have been better, but then again, I do have to remember I've never really finished a comic before. I've never even done a mini comic and finished it. And also, I only had 5 hours to do this anyway. So if I had an unlimited amount of time, it probably would be a lot better than this. One thing that I wish I could change is I made it too muddy, I think, because the color was too muddy or too weird. I don't know how to explain it. It looks very patchy and I don't really like that. So, but yeah, I am proud of myself that I actually finished this challenge. At some points I was like wondering when I would finish, but I did finally finish the challenge, and I finished it with 42 minutes to spare. And I might do this challenge again in the future, but if I do this challenge in the future, I will make sure that I do it a lot earlier than I did this time, because I shouldn't have procrastinated as much as I did, because I ended up staying up way too late, and I don't want that same thing to happen again. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.